Hey, you guys, happy Tuesday. This is Anything But Average, Achieving Success in Life. I am Trisha Turner, and I've got my good friend Hollie Kitchens on with me today. Welcome, Hollie.
Hi, Trisha. Oh my gosh, I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me on.
You guys, so if y'all don't pay attention to we're on every Tuesday, 12 o'clock Central. We're bringing people on every week, people to share their success stories. I believe everybody has a story. I believe everybody has a level of success. And I believe we're all aiming to be more and be the best version of ourselves. And so, Hollie, if you guys don't know her, I've known her for years, and she has quite a story to tell. If you kind of look back on what she's been doing in the last like 2 years, even since COVID, but even 5 years ago to where she is now and what she's got planned for the next 3, 5 years, even the next 12 months, it'll blow your mind. So, Hollie, in case viewers don't know who you are, can you do a little bit of your background, like where you are in the world, what you do for a living, and how long you've been doing that?
Absolutely. So yeah, everyone, I'm Hollie Kitchens, and like Trisha said, like it's just an exciting journey. I can't wait to share that with you. But yeah, so I am a brand strategist. I am the CEO of Hollie Kitchens Incorporated, which is a business that helps unknown entrepreneurs become known through various authority branding methods, such as podcasting, getting featured in media, social media strategies, jiffies, just online brand identity, just foundation, rebranding, all those good things to help people show up authentically and attract their ideal client and customer base. And I guess it's so funny how it kind of like came into fruition with the things that I do. It's literally stemming from me doing my own thing. So I'm a very resourceful person, and we'll definitely get into that. Definitely has a lot to do with my background and how I was raised. But I am a very resourceful person. And when I started my own businesses, I would do my own podcast servicing. I would do my own, graphics, things like that. And then I started getting hit in the DMs. It's like, how are you doing that? Or how can you teach me how to do that? So I try to teach people how to do it. But then I started to realize that a lot of my friends, they don't have time to learn. They just needed to have execution. So fast forward to Hollie Kitchens Incorporated. That's what kind of brought to fruition is this, like, people are like, I love what you're doing. I just don't have time to do it myself. Can I just hire you? And really, I guess that's really how it just kind of got built up and how I'm doing what I'm doing right now.
And like, I'm going to throw in on that one. When she says people don't have time, there are also a lot of people that aren't good at it. Like, what she
Yeah.
does is hard: marketing, branding, coming up with all of that stuff, when to do it, how to do it, where to do
Yeah.
it. That's super hard. And people, I believe, try to be cheap and like, oh, I'm going to do it myself, or I'm going to have a friend of mine do it. And it shows, like, when you look at their
Yeah.
branding and their messaging, it's like, okay, that looks like your 5-year-old did that. And that's not how you want to be, especially in this day and age. We got to stay relevant.
100%. 100%. And too, like, and also it's not the best use of their time, even if you have the capability to learn it. A majority of my clients are real estate agents. And, we always think about the dentist hands and mouth analogy. Like when we go to the dentist doesn't book our appointment. The dentist doesn't even clean our teeth. The dentist is literally the best use of his time is whenever his hands are in our mouth. And that's just like doing the things that only dentists can do. Same thing for real estate agents. You guys need to be focused in on what you guys need to do, which is going to be, the appointments, the cold calls, that's the conversion, and leave all the other cool stuff to the professionals.
And
Mhm.
Hollie's background too, you guys, again, in real estate, she's worked with and works with the top producers across the nation. Like, this
Mhm.
isn't something that she just picks up randomly and she's like, oh, I'm going to help like 5 or 10 small business owners. Like, no, it's like people. Hollie, talk a little bit about that and what you've done with people, especially in
Yeah.
real estate. How did you get them to where they are? How have you helped them?
Absolutely. So lots of different ways I've helped real estate agents and top producers, and really my ideal client are those top producers. I do have some that are like newer agents that need just a brand look and identity. I'm helping them with that, but a lot of my high end clients, they are those who are they've built up a business. That's they're start ready to kind of ease out of production and really focus on agent attraction. And when it comes to agent attraction, as we all know, like agents attract to people, right? They're not going to be attracting to a logo. So, for instance, it doesn't, I feel like it doesn't matter what brokerage you're with, you're always probably looking to recruit or grow a team. But we'll just use EXP for this example because I know a lot of people are familiar with the business model. And with EXP, the great thing is you get to utilize your personal brand in EXP. You get to have Trisha Turner EXP, right? So
Yep.
I think with that, when people are at that next level, they're ready to amplify who they are in their voice. That's where I step in. So helping them show up intentionally with the brand message that needs to reach their ideal clients. So for instance, if it's somebody who is looking to attract agents who maybe just do like 19 deals a year. We go in and identify the messaging, identify what are those people watching, what are those terminologies that they're using, and then making sure we're intentionally weaving that into like their podcast, right? Because somebody, for instance, like a client of mine, we had identified that their ideal avatar watches Selling Sunset. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But however, when you watch a reality show like that, you get the perception of real estate versus actually how it is. And I think, with that, we got to make sure we talk to that demographic, to that level of people. You wouldn't want to go in and start boring them with, financial models, or really go high level like Jay Abraham. That would probably go over those people's heads. So I think it's getting crystal clear. So I help people get crystal clear of who their audience is. And then we just reverse engineer the messaging and how to reach them. So I think that's just one way. Also, too, helping real estate agents who are ready to amplify their personal brand and getting them featured in media, get them, in notable local news stations and notable resources such as Entrepreneur or Authority Magazine, things like that. So those are kind of the key ways that I've helped people who are already successful just amplify their message and show up in a unique way that reaches people that they haven't been able to reach before.
I want to go back a little bit about a couple of things that you've said. So, working with top producers in real estate, you've been doing this for years. How have you seen things change since before COVID to how they are now, as far as relevancy goes, video, podcasting, all of that, and why?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's literally changed so much. Like we were forced to go into a digital world. So there's some people who are ahead of the curve and, they already had like their podcast going, they already had their video appearance up. However, I think once COVID shut down, what did real estate agents do? They started doing video tours. They started doing things like that. They started showing up online, and the world that was filled with digital distractions got even more amplified with those digital distractions, because now everyone is trying to show up in front of people. And I think one thing to do during that time is you have to understand what makes me binge worthy. What makes me different than the next real estate agent? Because if you look at them, a lot of the real estate agents, they all look the same. They have the same video look and feel. They talk about the same stuff. To me, I'm like, how do we identify what makes you unique? And that's what we amplify. That's what we go after, because in marketing, we always like to yin when people yang. Like, do the opposite, stand out, like be the black sheep, do something that makes people look at you differently than the typical other agent that's doing the exact same thing everybody's doing.
Mm-hmm. How important do you think podcasting is?
It's so important. And it's not necessarily like, oh, you got to do a podcast because all these listeners. That is key. Do not get me wrong. But podcasting positions you to get in rooms that you cannot pay for. Like, honestly, I've had conversations with guests on my podcast that there's no way I would be able to buy a meet and greet ticket to talk to them. But not only did I get to meet them, but I got to have a one-on-one conversation for 30 minutes of their undivided time, right? So to me, podcasting, there's so much power in it. And it's very underestimated, even though it's a popular form right now of content strategy. Podcasting is such a unique way to get a VIP pass. Like, I'll just give you guys a couple examples. Like 2019, I was literally finding my way being escorted into the green room of Third Eye Blind to interview them. I got to interview Chris Reed from Third Eye Blind.
Nice.
Nor do I interview him. I also, after I hit the record button off, he asked me, hey, are you doing anything after the show? Because I'd love for you to connect with our guy, our audio guy, because we're about to launch a podcast. And I would love for you guys to chat and get to know each other and see if there's anything that you can help him with. Like, that's the power of podcasting. Yeah. I could have bought a $500, ticket, and all it would have consisted of is me getting into a pit that's closer to the stage. I would have not been able to have the conversation with him, nor would I be able at the end of the night being able to take a shot with the band as part of the band, right?
Right.
Like, that's the power of podcasting. And those tuning in, maybe it's not international rock stars. Maybe you guys are trying to reach the builder that you want to do business with. So let's get that scenario. Say there's a builder in your area. That in Oklahoma City, there is a builder called Tabor. So say I want to go after Tabor's business. I could go to Tabor and say, hey, Tabor, love what you're doing. I want to have a cup of coffee with you. Tabor's probably going to look at me and think, yeah, you and every other real estate agent that's thirsty for my business.
Yep.
Versus I approach Tabor and I say, hey, Tabor, I have a local community Oklahoma City podcast where I feature people in the community that are doing good. I know you have greenhouses. I know all your houses are green certified, as well as every one of them have a storm shelter, which is detrimental in, Tornado Alley where we're located.
Holy crap, I bet.
I would love to have you on the podcast and really break down and showcase the quality home that you share with people. And I just think it'd be an important message to share with my real estate community, not only my clients, but also my colleagues. Don't you think Tabor's going to take that meeting with me the second time I approach him versus the time for the cup of coffee? Like, let's be honest, who has times for cups of coffee with people? Not a lot. It's about the power of positioning, but then also utilizing that to be strategic in ways to monetize a podcast. And a lot of things that I get asked when it comes to podcasting, one of them is, how do I make money off of it? And a lot of people think, oh, I'm just going to get some sponsors, which, don't get me wrong, you can definitely go after sponsors. But if you're starting out, it's going to be really hard because sponsors go after the impressions of listeners and your metrics. And if you're just starting out, unfortunately, you have nothing. The way you can monetize a podcast immediately is leveraging the relationships that you have by the guests that you bring onto it.
1,000%. You know, and thinking about podcasting, thinking about everything that you just said, like for me, when I started it years ago, one of the things that, because a lot of people are uncomfortable on video, they're like, I don't know how you're on video all the time. Like you seem comfortable. And it's like, you know what I kind of did to my own self? Like my mom passed away 11 years ago. And so when someone's gone for a long period of time, not that you forever forget their face or voice and stuff, but you can. And like I said, I'm building this library where when I am gone, like my kids can be like, they can go listen to me and see me every single day and see different messaging all the way. I wish my mom would have done something like that. Yeah. So when you think of it like that, it makes it super easy to get in front of a camera and share a message. And then two, I think the more people get out there and deliver content and be consistent with it, that's how you grow and become relevant and stay relevant. And I want to talk a little bit about video because there's a lot of talk about video in all the real estate workshops that we go to. And they're all saying, 80% of home sales in the next 12 to 24 months will be done by a real estate agent that utilizes video. What's your thoughts about that?
I absolutely can see how that's facts, and I can see how that's the way that everything's shifting. We're, like I said, COVID really forced us to be in a digital age where we start understanding the power of video and then how we can utilize it and collapse time. And instead of having to go out and go look at this house in person, if I don't like it in video, I'm not even going to step foot in the door, right? Or opposite, right? Like, so I think, and plus we have a hot market to where maybe we're not able to go and meet somebody right away to go look at the house. So I think that there's a lot of elements into that. And I think video is something like I always tell my clients, like that's the top pillar of content. So if you think of kind of like a pyramid, right? The very top of it is going to be video. Video is like the best content you can produce because you can deconstruct video in so many ways. And let me give you some examples. One is a podcast, right? We're doing video right now. What's going to happen is you can rip this audio and upload it to platforms such as Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, things like that, right? So you can do a podcast. Then you can turn around and get it transcribed like on a platform like rev.com or otter.ai. And then now you have a blog post. Then you can turn around and take that blog post and get highlight segments. And now you have social media graphics to share on your socials and promoting that podcast or that blog or whatever. You can also take it and make short form videos. So you do reels, you can do YouTube shorts, you can do little snippets on Facebook. There's just so much power in video. And if you guys are not doing video, you absolutely identify. I always tell people, identify what's holding you back. So some people, for me personally, it was the fear of rejection. It was the fear of people like, oh my gosh, this girl's stupid, like trolls or whatever, right? But what helped me overcome that was like, at the end of the day, I got to ask myself, do those people really have my best interest at heart? Are they coming from a place of love? And I'll be honest with you guys. If you guys are coming at me not from a place of love, I discredit everything that comes out of your mouth because at the end of the day, that has nothing to do with me, right? So that's just part of it. Identify what's holding you back and then act on it to overcome that. So to overcome that, I just have to start putting myself out there, right? But it's so funny because like there was no trolls that came after me. So like I'm like waiting for like this big bag thing to happen to me. And it never even happens. I'm holding myself back. I'm not letting people know that I exist because to be honest, you guys, anything it is, whether it's you have a fear of rejection or you just don't have time, which you do have time, you just choose not to make time. That's another story. But whatever it is, at the end of the day, those excuses or those reasons are going to be really selfish reasons because you're not thinking about your client that's out there that doesn't know you exist. The reason why we want to create video, the reality is this, you guys, there's other people out there that are way less qualified than you that are showing up more than you. And they're getting that business because they're showing up more than you. What are you going to do to change that?
Yeah. And, when looking back, and I had someone in my office yesterday and he's a new agent and he was like, I deleted my Facebook account. I deleted all my social media. I was like, oh my God, why would you do that?
Oh,
What? You can't do that nowadays. He's like, why? I want to start over. And I was like, you had people in there that know you and like you and trust you. You do realize
yes.
you have to go and recreate all of that, because the moment when you go work with buyers and sellers, the moment you either before you enter their house or
Mhm.
when you leave, they're looking you up on Facebook, Instagram,
Yes.
Google, YouTube. They want to know your story. And if you don't have a
Yep.
story to tell, bye. Somebody, the next person does. I can promise you that.
100%, 1,000%. I'll be honest, I went and got my hair cut a couple years ago with some girl that I've never seen before. Before my butt even hit her seat of her chair, she was already asking me questions about my podcast. And I was not Facebook friends with her. I didn't, I had nothing connected with her. So that
No.
just told me that she Googled me and she knew exactly. So another thing too is like, you guys Google yourself what's out there right now. And you
Yeah.
don't have to go out and delete everything. If you say, for instance, you've transitioned into like another job, or if you don't want old content showing up that's not on your brand, that's fine. Just, I would say, either archive it or set it to your eyes only. You can go in and just do a couple click of a button to set it to where it's just a private picture or a private post. There's no need to go out and delete everything and then start it all over again. Because like Trisha, you just said, you are wiping your existence out. And oh, it's just so sad to hear that.
So for new agents, or not even new, because there's a lot, like I believe that Keller Williams, Remaxes, they've been around forever, but a
Mhm.
lot of people have such a an old school mentality about that brand
Yeah.
that they really don't want anything to do with it. I think now more than ever, it's important that, and the team models are blowing up. So it's important more than ever for the
Yeah.
teams to be branding and to be in their face, because constantly delivering. And so you hear YouTube over and over and over.
Uh-huh.
What's your thoughts on YouTube and everyone having their own YouTube channel? And
Oh,
what should they
absolutely.
create? How does that go?
Yeah, absolutely. YouTube is a way that I know so many people, especially XP agents that are recruiting because of that. Because if you guys think about like going back to what's the intent of the platform, people go on YouTube to learn things. They then go on YouTube to look at vacation pictures like you would on Instagram. They go to YouTube to find out how to bake a cake or how to boil an egg or what is EXP about or what's the difference between KW versus, I don't know, Coldwell Banker or something like that. It's where people go to find information, and when people go to find information is because they're in decision making mode. And if you are going out there putting intentional content out, you do a great job of educating and informing people, you're absolutely going to stand out. So I absolutely think you should do it, because at the end of the day, we're all putting out content. And it's so funny because people get so overwhelmed. They think, oh, I just need more content. No,
Yes.
you just need to repurpose the content you currently have. So, like,
Yes.
again, this video, I know this video is not just going to live on Facebook. I know this video is going to live on YouTube. I know you're going to put it on podcast platforms. I know you're going to take it and cut it and slice and dice it and use it on Instagram and YouTube
Yes.
Shorts. So, absolutely, you guys, you are already creating this content. Take it 2 seconds and either utilize a platform like StreamYard to automatically put it into YouTube, or have somebody or yourself go around and upload it yourself, because you are missing out on a lot of opportunity of educating people by not showing up on that platform.
What's your thoughts about LinkedIn?
Oof. So LinkedIn personally, I know
Yeah,
I'm probably not the best person to ask this question to.
that's what I wanted to ask you. I'm like, let's go there.
So personally, I'm not a huge user of LinkedIn. And it is because I open up the app and I just see all these spam bot messages. And I'm like,
I know.
I don't want your leads, or I don't want your ISA help, or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
However, statistics show that LinkedIn is the highest, people who have the highest income level are on there. They're all professionals. So, like for instance, if you're a real estate professional and you're going after the luxury division, you probably would be better set up on LinkedIn than you would, say, I don't know, like like a TikTok or something like that. Because
Yeah.
going through and reviewing the statistics every year, LinkedIn's always the one with the most earnings. People who have the most earnings, the most income coming in, are on LinkedIn.
So when you look at like branding, marketing, running ads, trying to get yourself out there, especially for a new agent or a new team or any new business owner, there's
Mhm.
so much. There's Snapchat, like you just said, there's
Yeah.
like TikTok, there's so much. What should they focus on? Do you think like their top three things that they should focus on to help grow their business?
So I always tell people there's a couple things to focus in on. One is, what are you the most comfortable at? And because the last thing you want to do is try to submerge yourself in something like Snapchat or Twitter and you're not super familiar with it. And then you either show up weird, or you don't show up the correct way, or you like test and then it goes a public post that's like just says testing or something like that.
Yeah.
I would say, what are you most familiar with? But then also, That's equally second important question is where's your audience showing up at? So for some people, like I said, it could be luxury, right? So you're going to go look after who purchases luxury homes. You think about doctors, you think about people of status. So where are those people hanging out? Probably
Yep.
not so much on Snapchat, right?
No.
So that's probably, even if you love Snapchat, it's probably not the best place for you to start at. I will tell people that, like, if you aren't exactly sure, Facebook and Instagram are two great ones because they're sister companies. They both have they feed to each other. You can schedule your posts through them. And also they're like the second, other than YouTube, they're the other mostly used social media platform currently right now. And everyone from my son to my mom's on it, right? So it's
Yes.
like there's so many different people that's on there, but I think, just identifying what you're most comfortable at, and then also too, most importantly, are your people there? Because if your people aren't there, you're just talking to yourself.
One of the misconceptions I hear and the biggest things I hear from people when you're talking to them about like doing video and getting a channel going and all that is they're like, what do I have to say? Why does anyone want to listen to me? What would you say to that?
I would say first off, your clients that need to do business with you need to hear for what you have to say. I would say, when it comes to that, I think a lot of people are so focused in on themselves. They're thinking like, oh, well, I can't. So for me personally, I have a speech problem. Well, sometimes my R's and my W's come out weird. I know that sounds so crazy, but I'm so self-conscious about it. And it's held me back a couple of times for me, like going on video and saying stuff. Like I'll avoid words just because they have that sound to it. I know, bizarre, but this is a
Yeah.
classic example, you guys. But I'm so focused on myself, I'm not focused in on the people who need to hear my messaging. So instead of focusing in on, well, no one wants to hear about me, you need to focus on what does my audience need to hear from me? What does my audience need to hear? So that's going to be your content, that's going to be your messaging. And it's going through and identifying what issues, what's keeping them up at night. Like right now for buyers, it's multiple bid situation, right?
Yeah.
They're in this situation where they can only go FHA, but yet they keep losing out to cash offers. That's content that needs to be heard. They need to hear that from you. They don't
Yep.
need to not hear that from you, right? So it's like it's understanding it's about them, not you. And I think once you have that mindset shift, it's so much easier to put yourself out there because now you just speak from experience. Because I can literally close my eyes, I can talk about it in my sleep about podcasting and branding all day long because at the end of the day, it's for my people. It's not for
Yeah.
me. Like I already know about all that stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm not worried
Right.
about that. I'm worried
Yeah.
about the people who need to hear it and the people who aren't showing up because they have something in their head that's holding them back from showing up. And I'll say this real quick. The way that I got into marketing and branding, it's so funny because I used to hate attention. I grew up in a very small hometown called Rush Springs, Oklahoma, and population 1,300. Not only did I grow up in a small hometown, yeah, but I also grew up in the low income housing part of it. So, like, literally, our rent was like $30 a month. We grew
Oh,
up in low income
wow.
housing. Yeah. We grew up in low income housing. I remember, like, we would get the free clothes from church. Like, Christmas would come from, like, charities and stuff like that. Like, that's how poor I grew up. I remember in first grade, I only had one pair of pants, and they were black jeans. And I was whatever, to me that was normal, whatever. I didn't know what I didn't know. But I remember there's this little boy that I want to get his attention to. So I'm playing tag with him and I'm like picturing in my head, I'm going to tag him. He's going to try and look at me like, oh my gosh, Holly, you're so cute. I'm like, you're so cute. We're going to be boyfriend and girlfriend. And then we're going to get married and just live happily ever after. However, I tag
Yeah.
him and he turns around and he like looks me up and down. I was like, why do you wear the same clothes every day? And I'm like, "Oh my gosh," like, I was devastated, right? And I'm telling
Oh,
you guys this story because that time in my life, it spilled into adulthood. I literally thought in my head, attention equals negativity. Like, do not get attention because at the end of the day, you're gonna be played made a fool or something, right?
yeah.
So even going into when I got into real estate in 2010, I was on a team called J. Kinder Home Selling Team. And what I loved about that, not only the incredible leadership, but I also I got to hide behind Jay's logo. Jay's
Mhm.
face was on the billboard. Jay's face was on the signs. Jay's face was on the website, everything. I just got to work with my clients, close deals, and move on. They also obviously encouraged us to build up our own sphere because we would bring more business in that way, right? So they had a camera set up that we can check them out. I remember I checked out a camera, Trisha, and I did like a video walkthrough of an open house tour thing. This is like 2011. So this is before you could buy ads and promote things and things like that.
Long time
I
ago.
uploaded it on YouTube and I'm like trying to put myself out there. I'm telling myself, put yourself out there. I'm hoping to get maybe 50 views or whatever. I don't know. I check it the next week. And I had over 30,000 views of this open house
That's
new construction.
insane.
Incredible, right? So today, Holly would be analyzing the metrics. I'd be seeing when they fell off, where was the most view time, what was it that made it go viral at that point in time. Instead, I was the only pair of jeans first grade Holly, and I got so scared. I not only deleted that video, Trisha, I deleted the entire YouTube the whole YouTube channel. I could be some famous YouTuber right now, but yeah, I'm not because of that. So like that really kind of drove me into being passionate to where I am today. Back in 2017, I wanted to dabble into e-commerce. So I opened an e-commerce store for concert goers. Again, going back to my podcast, right?
Yeah,
But I hired an e-commerce coach and he asked a question that really helped me. And it was simple. It was, what's the difference between you and Target and Amazon? Like you can go to Target and Amazon, both well-known retailers, buy a Guns N' Roses shirt for like $12. Why would someone come to you and buy 3 times that amount? And I really was stumped at, almost felt defeated because I was like, why would they? Right. But then I'm thinking, wait a minute, Target and Amazon, they don't have Hollie Kitchens. That's my unfair advantage. So what did I do? I turned around and I created a music podcast where I would go to these shows. I'd interview musicians. I would bring in customers, like their questions. I would feel them. I'd make them feel like they're a part of the interview. I would ask them, who should I interview next? You build community around that. And that's what Amazon and Target didn't have, was me. So I'm challenging you guys listening to this. What are you guys doing that is different than the next real estate agent? How are you guys standing out? And how are you guys being yourself in an authentic way and attracting those ideal clients? Because when it comes to marketing branding, you always want to have keywords associated with you. As real estate agents, we have a lot, right? If you think about it, buyers and sellers, but there's so much more than that. There's empty nesters, there's divorce situations, there's newlyweds. Then on the buy side, you have first-time home buyers, you have luxury, you have investors. It's identifying who do you love working with? What do you do that's amazing at that? And then amplifying that in your messaging. Have that in every content you post. Have that on every podcast episode you're part of. Have it on everything you do and really resonate. Because I'll tell you guys this. If you guys Google Hollie Kitchens, the keywords that are going to show up is podcasting, branding, social media, women in business, and real estate. They're all intentional. Everything I've built online has been intentional because I want to be known for something that's this, because I enjoy doing this, right? So my challenge to you guys listening in is, what is the one thing or 3 things that you want to be known as? And are you guys implementing that in your messaging?
I love that. You're so awesome and so inspirational. Hey, Holly, what is the rest of this? You guys, she's speaking on a lot of stages. She'll be on a stage with me later this year. Holly, where can people go to find you to learn more about Hollie Kitchens, to learn more about podcasting, all that stuff?
Okay, so it's super simple and a real quick homework assignment for you guys listening in. If your social media handles are not the same, do yourself a favor right now and hop in and make them all the same. So real quick story. If you guys are hosting a party, would you send multiple addresses to people to go attend your party? No, because the party's going to be held at one address. So same thing with social media. You guys should all have your handles the same. So super easy for you guys to find me on any platform. It's at Hollie Kitchens. So it's HOLLIE, Kitchens with an S. And that's how you find me. Or you can go to holliekitchens.com and I have all free resources and downloads, and you can connect with me there. But yeah, I would love to connect and answer any questions you guys may have.
Yeah, she'll definitely help you grow your business, get into podcasting. Look at her. She's like, look how much knowledge and info she just gave you in that short amount of time, all for free, because it's what she does. She's passionate about it.
Absolutely.
She's the girl that wore one pair of jeans. I love that story. I did not know that story.
Yeah.
But you know what? I can relate, and that story held you back. It held you
Yes.
back for so long. You allowed it
Mhm.
to hold you back for so long. And it's so good to see you growing and thriving, because you
Thank
deserve
you.
everything in this world has to offer, for sure.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Trisha. You're a doll. I appreciate you.
Not today. You guys have a great day.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.